guys are. So I request everybody to please use the chat panel and quickly put all your city names from where you are. Let me see that. All right. So we have from Tabuk, Jeddah. Thank you. Perfect. So request everybody. All right. Yeah, Sheikh. Somebody have put the Riyadh, right? So I apologize for that. Actually, you got rename. Can you please reset your name once? Just click on that, and you have an option to reset your name. All right. Let's do start. We'll wait for next 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes, we're going to start the webinar. All right, just give me the quick acknowledge. Are you able to see my screen, everyone? Is that my screen is visible? Perfect. Thank you. All right. All right. So this webinar, which we are going to talk about, the special focus on the security analyst if we are starting a career, like what are the skill set we require. So before I go ahead, I would like to just give you an acknowledge about like everyone these webinar what we are going to spend time, right? It will be a value added time where you're going to get it the complete detail about ins and outs what exactly it is there in security, and if you're keen to start your career, how we can start those career. So I want you to be tuned till last if you're one who looking for to start your career in security. So let's do start. So before I proceed, I would like to just share some experience about what I have done, what is about my profile, and who's the person is talking behind the screen. So my name is Sheikh Iftikhar. I'm cybersecurity expert with working with almost 12 years in the industry. I work into the wide range of services, like into the designing, managing, implementing different security solutions, and I've been lead to the technical project for the government, banking, healthcare, as well as into the private sector. So we're there into the audit systems. We are there into taking care of the organization different policies, understanding their asset, categorizing their assets into the different criticality level based on the risk assessment, and be there into creating the different platforms where they can monitor the security solutions. What are, the mitigation steps are there, how the playbook can be written, what are different areas where they can improve, what are the penetration testing can be done, what are the assessment can be done. So we there into taking care of these services in almost multiple countries, like where in US, UK, Australia, as well as into the Middle East. So my work focus on, both into the services as well as into the training. So I've trained more than 10,000 professionals globally that are from different countries, and I'm passionate about empowering the people through the comprehensive cybersecurity education. If I talk about my personal profile, I'm a husband, father, hacker, gamer, sports fan, as well as the animal lover. And if you want to connect me through the LinkedIn, so you can see on the screen my LinkedIn ID, and this is our services where we provide. And if you want to know about the client and the projects, what we deal with that, so you can log into the techgeeks.co.in. You're gonna get the complete detail about this project. All right. So let's just start and see what exactly is there. So I'm very much excited. So let's see that if I talk about the security. So, as we know, what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is nothing but the process of protecting the different assets from the different type of attack. But how this happens? Why this need of cybersecurity? So, as we can see that the internet has given a rapid change in today's era. There's a globally increasing different services, and it has given an opportunity for different things, where we can be user of these services like entertainment, business, sports, educations, banking sectors, healthcare sector. There are different communications platforms and so on. As we can see that the services getting increased on internet, the same way the cyber attack is also getting increased. So one side we can see that there is a huge advantage, the other side we have the cyber crime that need to be get minimized, because that will lead to the financial losses that need to be, that lead to be a business losses, reputation losses, that might be a several, impact can be there if the cyber attack happens to these organizations. So as we can see that there is an advantage, there is also the disadvantage. Means the disadvantage is about the cybercrime, the illegal activities committed on the internet, where it is getting increased every day. So that need to secure. For that, what we have the cybersecurity. Now, what is cybersecurity? If I talk about it, the cybersecurity is nothing but it's a technology, is a process, is a method of protecting the computers, networks, servers, programs, data, from unauthorized access or attack that aim for the exploitation. So there are the different type of attacks happens, and we as a security specialist, we're going to secure them from the different type of attack. We're going to see that what are, the user behavior are there, how we can minimize these cyber attack. So there are 40 plus different domain are there in cybersecurity. We have a threat intelligence team, we have a digital forensic team, we have a red team which is into the testing, like penetration testing, code review testing. We have threat hunters, we have ethical hackers, we have a network security team, we have a physical security team, we have a SOC team, we have the cloud security team, we have information security team which are there into the taking care of the regularities, compliance policies, drafting the different policies in the organization, so on. There is a huge team I've been working. But if I'll say that if we want to be a part of this, which is the best field, how we can start this career, right? So here we have one of the most demanded job role. We can say that there's a SOC analyst, the Security Operations Center. So when we as a SOC analyst working, so we are into the crucial role. We are into maintaining the security of an organization. That can be into the process, it can be into transmit, it can be into the rest. So the SOC analysts are there, which are the centralized team. We are responsible for monitoring the different threat. If it has happens, we're going to detect those threat, we're going to respond to those threat, we're going to take the different mitigation steps in order to minimize the security incident in the real scenario. So we there into monitoring the different infrastructures, different asset list, that the business when start they run on the different assets, right? So that asset need to be get protected. incident detections, incident response. So how this response can be done, what are, like, the severity of those incident happens, what are the level of team need to be get involved in order to handle those incidents. So there are several levels are there. It depends upon the expertise, it depends upon the experience where they are there into the domain. So based on that, the incident need to be get handled here. We're going to involve the different threat intelligence tools, like, OSINT, open source intelligence threat tools we have it, where in order to modify, if in order to, like, understand about the threat type, from where it is happening, what is going to be get effect, what would be the impact can be there with those cyber attack. So there are several operations are there where we are going to get handled, like, one to one. So if I'll tell you the asset list, let me just give you some example here. So when I talk about the asset lists, there are, like, several asset lists can be there in the organization. So the most important part, how we need to understand the process. That's we need to take care of it. So just give me 1 minute. Let me share something here. All right. So as we know that if I talk about SOC, what exactly the SOC is that? So SOC is nothing but the security operation center. So we as a SOC analyst, if we are working, we are going to monitor sign of cyber attack, whatever the cyber attack it has happens. Either it can be the internal attack or either it can be an external attack. So such as a unusual login attempt happen, or any strange pattern it happens in the network, or anything seems that out of ordinary, like, which is not normal, that can be get impact to the organization's asset. So if we spot those things, we're going to jump into the investigations. We stop doing these activities by the attackers, like, those have been doing certain type of attack to harm the organization's asset, or they're going to be make some financial, like, inputs from that. So that we need to secure it here. So how does the business can be get protect? What happens? Now, if I'll say that the IT assets, that's a very important concept which we need to understand. So if we not understand the asset list, if we don't know what are the assets, we can't protect any assets. So that need to understand the business type and what are the most important assets can be there in the organization. So this is are some of the asset lists where we can see that, like, we have the endpoints, network devices, servers, applications, database, cloud services, regularities, like, different compliance requirement, data protections laws can be there. So if I'll talk about the endpoints, what do you mean by the endpoints? Endpoints are nothing but where we can say that that's have been workstations. There can be a desktop based, laptop based, or it can be the Linux based, or it can be the Windows based, Mac based. So there are the different workstations are there. There are the different printers are there. There are the different smart mobiles are there. They can be a different IoT devices, which is most of, like, the important part where in today's endpoints where we can see that the IoTs are getting increased, Internet of Things, getting different smart devices that need to be get protected in the internet when it is there. We have the different network devices that can be the routers, switches, firewalls, different load balancers. So this is some of an example to get you understand. This is the list can be considered, right? So these are the network devices can be there. Like, we have the servers. So that can be a physical server, that can be a virtual servers, like, the assets can be there on cloud. If I talk about the applications, so we know everyone, like, the business today, if I talk about the major assets are the application. Example, if I'll take like an example of Amazon. Now Amazon make the business because of the applications which they have created. If I talk about the Facebook, who's this Mark Zuckerberg? Everybody knows that this is a founder of Facebook. No matter how we got to know that, because of the Facebook, because of the application he created where the entire world is connected. They're getting communicate with each other, and for the business purpose, for the personal communities and so on. We know that. So he created an application. So these application is a business asset for him, right? So like this, there are the several applications runs on the organizations that can be a business asset. If the cyber attack happens to those asset, it will be the huge losses for them, right? So these application lists can be like We have like in-house applications. There are the third-party applications that can be the web applications and so on. So these applications need to be protected. We need to see like what are the transactions happens on these applications. We have a different database like it can be MySQL, SQL, Oracle, or some other like whatever the different databases can be maintained in the organization. Cloud services. Now, if I talk about the cloud, this is more important in today's time because every organizations are like they're migrating their services on premises to the cloud services, right? So the cloud is become most important part in order to store the information, in order to give the services, in order to create the applications and so on. So the cloud need to be have a proper protections that can become on like availabilities that can be there for data integrity, that can be there for like confidentialities and so on. There are huge areas where we can see that the cloud services need to be protected. And data protections law, as we know, like especially if I talk about the Saudi Arabia, if I talk about the financial areas, there is a SAMA, we know that, right? So like this, there are the several compliance process are there that can be considered as some of it example. That can be a PCI DSS, we call as a payment card industry data security standard. We have the GDPR, we have HIPAA, we have different like protections laws where we can see that. So this is our most important part while we are doing the protections for that. So this is our the asset list we have it. Now these asset list need to be get monitored. Now what we are going to monitor. So once this comes on the monitor, is that possible that we can monitor all the transactions which is happens on these assets? How we can protect these assets? So when it is comes on this process, we are there into monitoring the events and logs. So these activities, whatever the activities happens on this device, they generate events and logs. Let's imagine a situation. I'm using this Windows machine, right? So when I'm using this Windows machine, also it is also generate a different type of logs here. Now let me just give you an example. Okay. So here we can see that there are like, the several logs we have it. So these logs are generating from like, whatever I perform the task on my Windows machine, right? So these logs are like in the form of applications that are there into the form of securities. These are form on the form of setup systems and so on. The different customizations can also be done here. Now, where we can see that these are the logs which give us the complete detail about whatever the activities happens on our device here. If I'll talk about the security logs. So security logs are going to give us the detail about the activities that happens related to the security. Example, if I'll say that there is some login success happens. So what type of events are there here? So for that we have something called as a login success windows, like when I talk about it. So this is an audit success. And here is going to give us the information that an account was successfully logged in. You can see that, right? So this is a security log name where the some user have login with the date and time and everything about like the user account, all those informations. And there will be a possibilities are there the user are going to fail to get login. That will be a wrong password. So in that case, what we have it, we have also the logs here for the login failure here. So these login failure logs are going to give us the informations about that, like yes, this system has got login failure and what time they have done, what are the date of that, like what computer have failed this login here. So like this, like the information that related to the applications, that can be related to the network, that can be related to the servers, all those data which have been creating in the form of events and log. Now while we creating the sim environment, like we call as SOC process, so there is required the tool need to be get integrated. This call is a sim tool. As a security expert, if you are working, we should have an experience on the sim, which is the most demanded in today's time. The same is nothing but we call as a security informations and event management. So these tool which is considered as in threat detection tool. So we are going to collect the data from these sources. So the sources are, these are the sources can be considered, right? So we are collecting the data from these sources to the SIM, and at this point the SIMs are there to generate an alerts. Alerts are nothing but a notification. These notifications says that if any malicious activities happens, we're going to get an alert and we're going to investigate on these alert. So these alert are generated by writing the different rules, different threat detections rules. So what is the correlations rules if I'll talk about it? The correlation rules are nothing but that will be considered as in certain type of condition, a set of conditions which define yes, there is an alert should be generated because there is some suspicious activities is going on. So if it has been considered that the profile is or certain activities can be a suspicious, so that's the reason where the alert are generated, and based on these conditions, if this condition matches with those activities, it will be pinged as alert, and these alert need to be investigated. Yes, there is something true positive or false positive. This is a term where you can understand that. So in a very simple way, if I'll say that the true positive, that is can be considered that there is some risk is intercepted here, and if it is a false positive, that's a false alarm, so that we can ignore that. So investigation is the process of understanding these alert from where it is initiated, what is the source of these alert, what is the reason of these alert, what is going to be get impact with these alert. Let's say that an example, we got an alert from for a malware here. So there is a malware attachment that's got with the phishing emails, or somebody is trying to send an email contain a malicious code that is called as a malware. In a simple way, there are the different type of malwares can be there. There will be a ransomware, there can be a virus, that can be a trojan, that can be a logic bomb, that can be a botnet, that can be a rootkit, and so on, right? There is a huge different type of malwares are there where the attackers use those malwares in order to attack on the target computers. So once the malware is entered into the computer, what are the investigation steps are there? How are we going to mitigate those malware? What are area of investigations are there? What are the source from where the malware came? What are the computers are that got affected? What are the users have clicked on that malware? How it's going to execute? What are the minimization process, how we can containment those, how we can do the eradication process, how we can remove those malware, how we can take the system back to the businesses in a normal condition. All those comes on the incident response. So if we have successfully closed that incident response, if we can able to find out the mitigation steps and be able to make those systems are free from these malware, that systems need to be recovered back to the businesses, and then the ticket will get closed here. So this is a very a basic idea how this has happens, right? So I would like to know that, is that so clear till here, everybody? Just put in the chat yes if it is all fine. I want everybody to put in the chat yes, it's clear. Let's make this interactive session. I request everybody to put in the chat yes. Thank you. Great, great, great. Thank you. It's very interactive. Okay. So we can see that this is going to be happens, and through which we're going to see how this is going to be worked, what are the things is happens here. So these are the incidents which has happens. Now I would like to tell you that what do you mean by the incident. Incident are nothing but a risk, the risk which is intercepted to the organization assets. That can be an cyber attack, we can consider that as an incident. So whenever any incident happens, so every incident have the several type of severity levels here. So incident have a different type of severities. What are those severities? Can be like critical, high, medium, and low. Now how this incident can be given as this critical, high, medium, and low based on the asset owners, right? What are the losses, what are the impacts is going to be happens, right? Now if I ask you one simple question, let's make this in a very simple way. You have two boxes, box A, box B. I want you to imagine a situations. We have two boxes, box A and box B. In a box A, we have all our important things in that, gold, jewelries, money. We can see that important documents, everything which we put in the box A. The box B also contains something belongs to us, the our belongings like our basic uses like watches, phones, like tabs, laptops, like you have some daily uses, cards, and all those things which are there in that. Now, both are important because that will lead to a certain loss, right? But which is the most important one? The box A or box B? Just put in the chat. If A, then A. If it is B, in B. Just put in the chat, which is the most important part. What do you say, guys? Which one is the most important? Box A or box B? I repeat again the question. Box A contain all the gold, jewelries, money, and everything, right? In the box B, we have like daily uses things. So if you want to give that the process, which is the most important here, box A or box B? Abdullah says box A, Ali says box A. What about others? I want everybody to just put in the chat quickly. Obviously, box A, right? Because box A is the more critical. Why? Yes, both are important, but the most important one. Samim, I want you to just mention like the most important one, A or B, right? So in this case, we can see that the A is the most important because it's a more critical one because it may lead to us more financial losses, right? So that is how the criticality level can be get defined and through which we can understand that yes, there is like the asset list also can be there in the organizations in the similar way. There is a high value asset, medium value asset, low value asset. It depends upon what are the losses the organizations are going to face when any attack happens, right? So here we can see that this is how it can be there. If we'll see that, so these asset lists can be listed based on the criticality levels. High criticalities like low or medium or something like that. So here we can see that this incident will be taken in this form: critical, high, medium, and low. So this is how the operations will be done. But now we got to know that some idea about this. But what exactly the SOC team is going to do it? What are the operations are they? So as a SOC team, if we're working on it, so SOC team does the important role. They are there into monitoring all the alerts coming from the SIM tools. So once the alert comes, they are into analyzing those alert. They'll see like what is this threat? It's a true positive or the false positive. If it is something is considered as a true positive, then they have to take an action. If it is a false positive, it's a legitimate activity, then we can ignore that. But if something is going bad, then we have to take an action. We need to decide that from where it is happening. Either it can be an internal attack or either it can be an external attack. What type of attack is that? So if something is bad, then the team need to be like report that. They have to take a proper actions to mitigate that. Even sometimes they need to interact with the team, internal team which are there, to stop doing these bad activities. Because of these activities, it may lead to the cyber attack. So there are the several sim tools are there. Let me just give you an example. One of the sim tool like Splunk, if I'll say you that. So what exactly the Splunk tool will do it? Let's see. So this is the SIM tool where we can consider as a Splunk here. So the Splunk is going to be give us all the report whatever it is happens here. So we have the different dashboards here which we need to monitor. So one of the dashboard which I would like to just give you some idea about it, which can give you some notification if something is going wrong, and based on that where we can take an action here. All right, so here we can see that these dashboards are giving us the complete detail about the activities which is happens on these assets here. So as you can see that we have the block connections, we can see that the log connections, we can see the tear down connection. So these are the logs which are generating from the firewall. The firewall is a network security device which are going to monitor the entire traffic which is passing. So what type of traffic is getting passes and what type of actions that the firewall is taking. So that need to be get monitored here. So as a security specialist, we're going to monitor what are the block connections are there, what are the allow connections are there, what are the tear down connections are there, what are the drop connections are there, what are the external source IPs, what are the external destination IPs are here. So we can see that, like, the different type of traffic which is there by the action, that can be a block traffic, that can be, like, allow traffic, that can be tear down traffic, network traffic by protocol. So what type of TCP traffic, the transmission control protocol, or they've been, like, the user datagram protocols. We have different applications, right? What are applications are there which have been working. So these are the information. So we can see that the what are the block countries are there, like, where the connection should not happens, from what areas where we have it here. So this is all the complete details as in firewall logs, where we're going to investigate. We're going to see that what are the block source IP addresses are there. There are several tools are there. In fact, like, if I'll tell you about, like, another tool that is, like, the IBM Curator Security. So this is also one of, like, most demanded tools where we can see that here. So here, this is also a sim tool which is going to give us the report about the activities which is happens on the assets, what are the offenses happens. So there are the dashboards are there here again for these offenses, where we can create the different type of dashboards and can understand, like, what type of alerts are there, what type of, like, the mitigation steps we required. If we can go ahead to the offenses here, so we can see that, like, what type of offenses happens, what is these offenses are there. So there is a multiple malware attack it has happened. So how what are the source of that offenses source, from where it is taken place. So they are the different logs which we are receiving here. So these log activities are generating, like, from different sources here. So these are going to give us the complete report about the activities which is taken place here. So here you can see that some of the logs, let me just give you some more idea about this. So here you can see that this is are the event names, like, from where it is happening, and what are the log sources are there. So there are the several log sources through which we are collecting this data. So we have, like, the event counts. What are these event counts? What are the time we are receiving it here? So this is the current log which I'm receiving from my SIM tools here. Now here we can see that what are the, like, categories are there. What are the source IPs are there? What are, like, the source port, destination IP, destination port, what are the usernames are there, right? So these data we are collecting from these assets, and from those assets we're going to detect if anything going wrong here. Like, we're going to see that, like, okay, we have detected these malware through which we need to investigate on that. What are the data is getting passes here, what type of activities is happening here. So there is a huge informations where we can able to see that, and there are the several different, like, assets are there. Through that asset list we are working. If I'll tell you the asset list, how we can see that. If I'll go to the admin here, we have the different log sources here. So if you can see that these are the log sources from where we are collecting the data here. If I click on this, I can be able to see this is are the log sources. We have, like, Linux servers, we have, like, Palo Alto firewalls, we have the Windows servers, like, this is are something where we are monitoring here as if now. So if anything goes wrong here, let's see that if I want to investigate for last 24 hours if any activities happens. So I can click on this and I can be able to see what are this activities happens here, what type of events we got it here. So these event lists are going to give us a brief idea about the activities which is happens on this machine here. So I can group them with the particular event names. I can, like, customize that. I can check that from where it is happening here, what type of activities happens, like, what are these listed are there here. So if I'll say that yes, there are some activities happens here. If we can see that there is some unknown events happens, that can be some health matrix can be there. It can be related to the, like, virus detected, if you can see that here. Or if you can see that, like, login failure to the SSH, incorrect password. So that been happens to this system here. Now if we'll click example for the virus detected here, so what are the sources from where we have detected this virus, what is the type of this virus is that, from where it is happening. So all those informations. So we as a security specialist, we're going to get these informations, and from that We're going to investigate, like, what are the event counts, from where it is happening, what is contained, the informations about it. So if I click on this IP address, let's see that here. So here is going to give me the detail about these malware which is happens here. So we can see that there is a virus detector. This is the source IP. This is the destination IP. This is a source port, and this is a destination port. Now destination port 25. If you notice this, destination port 25, it means like this is an email port, right? SMPT, simple mail transfer protocol. So once this means like somebody have sent it an email which contains some malware here. So if I'll go ahead and see this investigations here, so we can see that there is a threat detection happens here, that is contained on these card here. Like, there is some attachment is there here. So in you can see that invitations card dot zip, invitation card dot zip here. The malware may contain in these file. This is the inbound SMPT. Like, they have received an email, and that email contain these attachment, and these attachment may have the virus. These are the possibilities are there. Yes. So this is how, like, the sim tools are going to give us a brief idea about it. So what are the network activities are there, what are the asset lists are there from this network, what are the informations we are getting it into it. So there is huge informations. If I talk about it in detail, I don't want you to get confused going into the more technical way. So there are the different type of reports are there. If we can see that, right, these are the reports where we can see how those reports can be there. That can be a annual report, monthly report, daily report, scan report, and so on. Even if I can see, like, different type of the rules which we are creating, that is we call as a correlations rules. So if we click on these rules, that is for the threat detections. So here we can see that what are those rules are there, what are the groups are there here. So there are the several groups can be created here in order to detect this threat. So DDoS attacks, you can see the compliance related, botnet, authentication. It can be related to the malware. It can be related to the suspicious accounts, right? It can be related to the threat, worm, and so on. So there is a huge informations where we can be able to get this here. So as a security specialist, if we are working, we're going to monitor these alerts. So what are the type of attacks happens? So there are the different type of attacks are there whenever it is taking place here. So we as a security expert, we're going to monitor those all threats here. So how that is that only we are going to monitor the internal threat or the external threat. So we're there into the both areas, either it can be the internal, either it can be the external. We as a security expert, we need to take care of these entire systems here. So what are those informations can be there, like if I talk about those. So here you can see that in example, as we know, like any department contain the different type of departments are there, right? So these department can be like HR department, sales department, accounting department, like construction department, marketing department, and finance department. Like, there's a huge departments are there. Like, we have an IT department where all the developers are sitting, like front end, full stack engineer, test engineer, Python, Java, .NET, where they've been working. We have ICT engineers, like information on communication technology. We call it an IT infrastructures, where you can see that there is a team like a system team, network team, database team, network monitoring team, NOC, we call it the network operations center team, which have been there to monitor the fault management system. And they're going to see, like, what type of activities is happening. So those areas where we can understand that, right? We have also the team which is a backbone for any organization, that are an IT security team. So these IT security team, like IM team, endpoint security team, vulnerability assessment team, network security team, there is the SOC team, the security operations center. So the SOC analysts are the first point of contact if anything happens. So they're working on the SIM tool, they're working on the SOAR, threat intelligence tools. They're going to see everything, whatever it is happens on these assets. They're going to protect this asset from the different type of attacks here. So in fact, like, not only we there at the point of contact for the outside attack, but also internal attack, maybe intentionally, maybe accidentally it has happens. Some user have went to the malicious website, somebody have connected the flash drive through that the malware have entered it. That might be a several reasons are there, right? Those are need to be get protected. Now I'll give you one example. Let's understand this. I would like to relate this with the civil engineer, right? Now, if I talk about the civil engineer, what exactly the civil engineer will do it? Can you just give me one? whatever you know about it, what they do, what exactly they do. Anybody, please? What exactly the civil engineer will do? Is there into the constructions, right? Yeah. So they work on a different project. They do into the constructions, right? Let's take an example. So while they're doing the constructions, exactly like homes, like different houses, villas, buildings, roads, bridges, and so on. I would like to take an example. When the civil engineer is constructing any houses, like see that the villas or it can be any buildings. So he need to interact with the several team. First, he need to interact with the architect. He need to interact with the masons. He need to interact with the tile worker. He need to interact with plumbers. He need to interact with the electricians. He need to interact with painters and so on. There's a huge team out there where there is different department out there where they need to be have a proper communications with the civil engineer, because if the construction should be happens based on the plan what they have done, so there is required and proper communications with this team. If there is no proper communications with this team, the constructions will not going to be happens according to the plan, like what they have planned it. So there is should have a proper communications with the civil engineer while the construction is going on. The same way, if I talk about it, if I take you this example with the civil engineer, let's take example as in civil engineer. So the cybersecurity team, what they're doing it. So cybersecurity expert team also they're into taking care of the security of an organization. So their cybersecurity team always their focus on the security. So they that might be an internal or it can be an external, right? So they need to keep an eye on all the activities which is happens. So that can be related to the HR teams. Let's take an example. There is an internal team as a marketing team. We have like internet team, like network team. We have like finance team and so on. So we as a SOC analyst, we need to keep on monitor all the activities what is happening on these assets. What are like internal team activities are there, and they should be have a proper communication. They should be have an awareness training. Maybe you've been working into the some IT organizations or somewhere into the like your job areas. Maybe you may have to receive sometimes an awareness training, what do you need to do it, how you need to handle your workstations on the corporate network, how we can like perform the activities on that. So this is how the security team are there. Not only they communicate with the security team, but also some journal team that can be HR, marketing, network, finance, sales team. So if they've done something wrong, they are the point of contact. So we as a security analyst, what we are going to do it as a SOC team, we're going to monitor, we're going to detect, we're going to investigate all those activities which is taking place. We're going to respond to the cyber threat. If anything goes wrong, we are there the point like to check that, investigate on that. We're going to understand like what is an attack, it happens, how it's happened. So what are the type of attacks happens as a security analyst if we are working? So what area we need to check it, what are like the process we need to do it. So at this point of contact, if I talk about it, so there are the different type of attacks happens. These attack can be a phishing attacks. The attackers are going to send some phishing emails in order to steal the credentials, make some emergencies, or to steal some credit card information, or to the banking users' names, or it can be for sending in the malware to the organizations. That might be anything. That can be the man in the middle attack. That can be the DDoS attack. SQL injections happen. Zero-day exploitations happens. It can be a ransomware attack. It can be like the several attacks where we can see that cross-site scripting. It can be happens from the downloading, so on. So this is just an example for you. These are the pattern of attacks which takes place. Like we as a security analyst, we see this type of cyber attacks and we're going to mitigate that. So in fact, in real scenario, if we'll see that what are those cyber attacks can be there. It can be the malware incident, it can be unauthorized access, it can be the phishing attack, it can be the DDoS attack, it can be the insider threat, it can be the data breaches, it can be the incident response to the vulnerabilities, or it can be the web applications attack, or it can be the brute force attack. Now, what do you mean by the brute force? By the way, anyone is there who knows about the brute force? Can you put in the chat if you know what exactly the brute force attack? And if you don't know, no problem. And I want you to be a more interactive so we can be get it. So it's just a general discussions. If you know, just put yes. If no, then no. What do you mean by the brute force attack? Okay, thank you. All right, no issues. How many of you how many of you know that the why how this brute force attack happens? Okay, let me just give you some practical exposure on these brute force attack. All right, let me just give you some example. Okay, now what I'm gonna do it, I'm going to do some brute force attack on certain account here. Okay, so let me just share my main screen once. Give me 1 minute. All right. Perfect. So I believe my screen is visible to everybody. Okay. So I'll just give you a quick an idea about how the brute force attack is happens. All right. So this is my one of the machine here. Okay, which I'm going to open. This is called as Kali Linux, and I have another machine here. Let's see that. This can be considered as Metasploiter. So here we can see that I have one IP address as 192.168.29.115 here. This is one of the IP address I have it. Now what I'm going to do it, I'm going to do the brute force to this account here, right? From this machine to this machine, so I'm trying to get an access. I'm trying to get the username and password for this machine here, from this machine here, right? So what I'm going to do it, I'm going to just launch one of the tool here, MSF console. So you don't go to the technical aspects like what we are doing it, because we're going to have that in detail, but just to give you an idea, but to give you a trailer how it happens, how those brute force attack happens, what exactly the attackers will do it to guess the username or passwords, whenever they're trying to get an access to the account. So there are the different methods are there. So to do this attack, I'm using some of the method here. Like let me use this one, SSH login. I'm doing like SSH login to those account here. So I'll say like use. So here I have to set some parameter before I go ahead for the attack. So I want to set first as a R host here. Now what is the R host? The remote host, which is 192.168 dot what was that? Okay, 29.115. So here we can see that 29.115. So this is my host which I have done here. So here we got our host 192.168.29.115. We can see that this is the host. Now port is same, 22 is a SSH port. The target port is same, so we don't need to do anything with that. So I have to set some of the parameters quickly here. So let me just do that. Okay. So here we go ahead. All I have done that. So I have set some parameters here, right? So now what I'm going to do it, I'm just going to run this attack here. So when I see that, if I'm running this attack, you can see that it says that start brute forcing, right? You can see that. So it says that start brute forcing, and here we're gonna see that there is some brute forces happening. So there is a combinations of the username and password which is going to be happens here. And here you can see that all this is fail attempts. Like this many they have tried. So once we got the username and password, here instead of failed, we're going to get the success. We're going to success and this attack is going to be stopped here. So we are attacking the multiple username and password in order to guess the user name and password of a target machine here. So this is how the brute force is happening. So this is called as a brute forcing on a particular account. So this is happens to the user accounts, that can be for the servers, that can be happens for the applications, that can be happens for the cloud services, and so on. So this is an attack which is happens here, right? So these attack need to be get mitigate, need to be get see why it is happening, from where it is happening, and how we can protect this. What we need to take an actions, like whenever any brute force attack happens, what area we need to work on it, which is most important part here. So here you can see that there is a huge number of username and password are there, through which the attackers will try to attack on the particular account in order to guess those username and password. So this is our just an example for you to get understand how this is happening here. So there are the several methods are there through which these attacks takes place here, and these attacks need to be get identified, need to be get find out the reasons why it's happening, how these attackers are try to do this exist here, right. So here you can see that we got many failed here, and suddenly you can see there is some success here. So there is success means yes, the username and password has got successfully got to know that, and through which the sessions can be get an access here. So there, this is the method where the attacks happens. So there are several ways are there where we're going to see those method, and we're going to mitigate those. We're going to understand how we can protect those one. So let me just give you an idea about this. So I believe everybody is clear with this. This is how the attacks happens. This is how the methods are there, right? So we can see that that can be a brute force attack. That can be any type of attacks are there, right? This is how the attacks will take place here. So we as a security expert are going to protect here. Now, if I talk about the cloud, now we know that the cloud is the most important part for everybody, right? So all the businesses are running on cloud now. They are migrating their services on cloud now. Right from Netflix to NASA, they use the cloud services, right? If we'll see that. So that need to be implemented with a different practice here, policies, controls, implementations. What are the data protections laws are there, how we can secure an applications on the cloud, how can secure any information that have been there on the cloud. So as we can see that the organizations are increasingly adopting the cloud services to store, process, or to manage their data. So we need to ensure that the security of information, whatever that can be, that need to be have it the more paramount, and they should be have more access to be those areas here. That's how it's right. Okay. So the securities is the most important part when we are taking care of it. So there are multiple solutions are there. So Azure Sentinel, if I talk about using the Microsoft cloud services are very keen in today's market. So if people are looking for the employees who have good experience on Sentinel, how they can work, what are the security areas they know. So that's our most important one where we're going to discuss that in detail. So if I talk about the cloud services, that can be for data security, availability, compliance, that can be there for disaster recovery, that can be for the business continuity, governance, if I talk about the IAM, identity access management, and so on. There is like huge process for the cloud security, and there are the different incident happens on the cloud. So data protection, security compliance, configurations management, application security, and so on. DLP technologies, because the attackers always try to attack on a different way. Now, as we are going ahead so far and checking about the attackers, we are listening these attackers. So who's these guys actually? What they do actually? So if I'll take you one example here, what is hacking? How this hacking has happens. So there are the different type of hackers. There's a white hat hackers, there is a black hat hackers, there is a gray hat hackers. So what are these people are there? So white hat hackers are nothing but the people who have good experience in protecting. So they always use their skill set in order to protect an organization's asset. They always try to find out what are the vulnerabilities are there, how we can fix those vulnerabilities. This is how it will going to go. If I talk about the black hat hackers, are nothing but the cyber criminals, which is always try to attack on the systems. They always try to get an access. They have only one motive to make it an attack, to make huge profit. And if I talk about the gray hat hackers, they are into the border between white and black. We don't know what they are going to do, it where they're going to jump. Either it can be the white or either it can be the black. It depends upon the conditions. It's like a cat on the wall. We never know like where it's going to be jump. Either it can be right, left. It depends upon conditions. This is how the type of hackers are there. And when I talk about the cybersecurity, how they're going to be worked, like how we can secure any asset from these type of attacks. So there is one process we call as information security. So whenever we implement the security for an organization, either it can be for a network, either it can be for the cloud, either it can be for applications, either it can be for the endpoint. In fact, if I talk about if any physical security also we are maintaining, that is a based on the standard of the CIA triad. We call as confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Means like your confidential data, unauthorized person should not able to read it. Let's say that if you're sending an email, only an authorized person should be able to read those email. If you're doing some transactions by using your credit card, your debit card, so you don't want that to be sent into open way where everybody can read. No, that should be go with the high encryption, right? That comes on the confidentiality, integrity, modifications. There should not be happens any kind of alterations to your database until unless that person is authorized. If that person an owner of that asset, those persons has only have an rights where they can make changes. And if I talk about the availability, the service should always available 24 by 7, 365 days. The service should run. That comes on availability. So these CIA triad, in fact, we build for every areas we talk about it. So whenever we design the security, so that can be there for the data protections law, that can be for disaster recovery, authentications, authorizations. It can be for the encryption, vulnerabilities, right? We have a data security process for taking care of this entire asset based on the standard framework. Network security, terminal security, it can be the container security, API securities, and so on. So we as a security expert, while building the security solutions, so we're going to take these systems, we're going to find out what are the things that happens here, how are we going to protect that, how are we going to secure that. That is our most important part of the areas. As a security expert, if you are working, we need to see all those activities, what is happening. So do these asset, how we can protect that. Now, this is what the security expert team which works, right? So I believe everybody got some idea about this, what is exactly the security is that, some idea. Believe we have spent it some time, so I believe certain way we know about that, right? So now the comes an important part. What is the benefit of doing this? So if I'll tell you that, according to the Forbes, this is the second largest paying jobs. If I'll say that an average salary for the people who have been as in strong, they get it as as a minimum salary as $1 lakh, that is as a minimum salary. My students are there. In fact, they are earning around 1.5 USD, 1.5 lakh USD per annum. Some are there with 1.8 lakhs per annum. This is very huge if I talk about it. I'm talking in in USD. This is the current market which is going on. And what are the companies are hiring? If I'll say you the companies, like, where the top companies where the people have been getting hires, like EY, Google, KPMG, there are the huge companies are there where they are hiring here. They are like, into getting into the huge requirement. If I talk about it, the PwC, Microsoft, IBM, Deloitte, Infosys, Qualcomm, Wipro, like, so on. And my students are working on these top companies. The area reason why, the reason is about, like, how you're going to achieve these result, what you're going to get, like, understand with this, how how to deliver your informations, like, whatever the content you have it, how you're going to deliver that. That's just the most important part. So if I'll say you that, like, if you've been a part of this, if you're looking something that need to be have the good opportunities, have to be, like, you good area of utilization your skill, there is a proper framework are required, there is required a proper informations which we needed here, right? So if I'll share you some of, like, let's just give me 1 minute. All right, just give me 1 minute. Okay, let me just give you one experience here, like, what my students are saying about this course.
Hi, I'm doing the cybersecurity course with Tech Geek, and it's an amazing, very informative, and practical course. I found that not only am I gaining knowledge, but also doing practical steps that would be applicable in the job, and I highly recommend it. The tutors as well as the consultants have been very, very responsive and very accommodating for every life event. So I do recommend that you take this course. Okay.
Hi everyone, good morning. Myself Mukhtar Ali. I just wanted to inform you that this training was worth every single penny, and the trainers were not only knowledgeable but they are passionate about cybersecurity. They made learning very easy, enjoyable, and practical. The team they are providing the services are excellent, so I just highly recommend everyone to join this course. Thanks, TechGeek.
Hello everyone, my name is Waliu. I'm a former student of Tech Geek Institute in Hyderabad, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I got to know about Tech Geek Institute on Facebook. I saw their ads on Facebook and I picked their phone number and I reached out to one of their coordinators who helped me with the registration and making payments. I started in January 2023 and I finished in May 2023. What I can say about Tech Geek is, to me, it's to be honest, it's a very good place for you to learn about cybersecurity, especially for people that are new in the field who is looking to break into cybersecurity. Tech Geek is a place where they will teach you from basic to the advanced. I didn't really know much about cybersecurity when I joined Tech Geek, so and I was able to learn from the basic until the advanced level. All the lecturers there and the coordinators they're always ready to help. They always listen to their students in terms of questions and concerns. If you have any questions and concerns, once you reach out to any of the lecturers, they are always willing to help on time. And I would highly recommend Tech Geek to anyone who is looking to break into the field.
So thank you very much. So this is some of, like, the experience where people who have taken an advantage, like, they have shared. There's a huge, right, there is a huge requirement out there. Only the process how you're going to grab these opportunity, what are things are thing, like, what are the level of informations, what are the level of confidence you required to be a part of these journey. So I must say one thing, yes, there are many people out there, like, to get a job, because of the reference, because of Vasila and so on. But what, the confidence, which is very important while performing your task, like the step by step method, how we can be get into the success, how we've been getting into the next position, like what next if you get a job, that's the most important part. How you want to come over with these challenges, right? The minimum salary, I have the people who are in the, especially if I talk about the Saudi Arabia, they were there into Canada, they were there into the Australia, and they migrated, like they shifted to the Saudi Arabia because there is a huge payments, right? The huge salaries. They're getting 45,000, 40,000, 35,000 real per month. This is the package where, the people can be able to grab it with the some of proper guidance, so proper mentorship, and the most important part, it's a skill set. No, the world has got changed. Like people are not getting higher. Corporate are not getting higher based on your academic. Even you do done the masters, even you have done the PhD, but you won't get a job opportunity until unless you not know about the correct current skill set on real scenarios. So people are getting higher based on the skill set. So what are the skill set that he know about it? How he can how he can solve the problem for an organization? How you can be a bridge for that those problem to the solution. That's the most important part, where the people are happy to pay you, the demanded salaries. This is what it happens, like an average, very average salary, where the people may grab 15,000 to 20,000 riyal. This is a where I can say that this is other possibilities, because these course is not an just make you a basic idea about that. That is an advancement course where you can fill up to 5 to 6 years of experience. I repeat again, after this course I can guarantee you, you can fill up to 5 to 6 years of experience, how the expertise are working, because it's all about the knowledge which I'm going to deliver you. What I have is a problem to get learned with many years spending in the industry. I don't want you to be face those problems, with few months you will be an expertise, because I'm going to take you to the state away the content what is required in the market, what is the process are there, because we are there into the deliver process with the all the use cases, with the current market strategies, what they have the requirement, how they're going to hire you. This is the most important part, where we are take you to that areas and explain you the each and everything inside and out, what you require to be have a skill set. So if I'll say you that Saudi Arabia is one of the best place if you want to start your career in cybersecurity, because the Vision 2030, it's taking it to the next level. I believe you, this is the perfect time, to safeguard yourself from any adversity that may come on your way, because there is always the security jobs are available. There is always the security team need to be have it. So that's the reason this is the most important part. And especially if I talk about the Saudi Arabia, they're growing the job market in cybersecurity in a different level. There's a national level security they are implementing, and they are the first phase if it is comes on the security. If I talk about, according to the recent news, the Saudi Arabia have tops global cybersecurity ranking credit, where about the Vision 2020. It's an international innovative trend. There is huge investment is going on. If you go ahead and do some research on cybersecurity, especially targeting to the Saudi Arabia. So what I want you to do it, the salaries are average, where I can say that that will be 2.5 to 5 lakhs per annum, real I'm talking about that. So it's the digital transactions which is having across the entire city of that. They are the front end of the cybersecurity national development. When it is comes to it, they have the one priorities, the high priorities are all about the security, because there is a huge organizations, there are huge vendors have been taking. Even if you can go ahead and do the research about the investment with the government, they have been reaching billions in, investing for and giving priorities sector for the national security. That's the most important part. And if I'll tell you about the salaries in KSA, 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakh per annum, this is our growing, up to 30% that can be get hike up to the 2030. There's an increase of demand always from the past 3 years. Cybersecurity have the more priorities for the people to be get started. So the vision, if I talk about it, the cybersecurity, which is giving like huge requirement, there as have more priorities when I'm talking about it. So that's the reason where I want you to understand that the salaries are huge, areas are very broader. It is up to us, what we need to choose. Either if we are going for how we need to reach that, what we have to do it. So it depends upon us, our process. Either you be let's say that if you're traveling from one state to another state, you may go by car, it may gonna take more time, a bit average time within train. And if you're going with a flight, that will be the quick reach to your destination. So cybersecurity is a quick way to reach your destination. You don't need to spend years, whatever 10 years if you're spending in industry to reach your goal. But if you're the part of the cybersecurity, it may happen in just 4 years, almost 6 years you're saving of your career, and that into the next level. And that 4 years take you to the next 15 years grow. This is how it's happening. This is what the fact, if you can think about it. If you are very serious about your career, if you're really passionate to do process, so you need to come with an action, because the actions are going to give you a results. So action is most important in order to get the result. But how you're going to take an action is all based on your emotions. So how your emotions to help, how your emotion to grow. So this is how it can be seen. And the emotions comes with the feeling, and feeling comes with the word. And the word, how your positive word is there inside you. What is going on? If you have a positive thinkers, if you think like, yes, this is what right, this is what the way we need to take a step. So what we think about it, what inside the word is that, that costs to the feeling, and feeling costs to the emotions, and emotions costs to an action, and action costs to the result. This is how it happens. So I want you to think. I want to think a proper way. Take your right decision if you want to, survive in the market. So if you ask me, what are the requirement to become an security expert? So the myth are there. People are more fear about they are from non-technical background and they switch their career into the technical background, and the people think that I should be have a programming language. I should have the experience on programming language. I must say that you don't need to be have any programming language. No need of your programming language to be have it the command. There are the different department are there in security. For them, they should be have the programming language. The second important thing is that people have in fear that my education's background is from non-technical. What should I do? My experience is non-technical. Can I be able to switch? 100% you can be able to switch your career into security, because the way of process, the way of mentorship, the roadmap, what we have it, that's from zero to advanced. It's not just we are talking something with the current and there is something is going wrong. No, we are talking about something which is very important here. The 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 most important thing is that all the companies want to secure the data, and it's a global job market with high paying salaries. Now, what are the areas out there? So if I'll tell you that we give you the complete solutions for this, we have a training process which we are going to give you the live sessions. What are those on it? We're going to start from scratch level. We're going to start from networking concept, what exactly the network, how it works, what are things are there, what area you require into the security. Those are the areas which are covering into the networking. It's not for the network administrator, it's for to get have some important concept in networking before we get into the cybersecurity. So in the cybersecurity, we are going to talk about the SOC analyst role, which is most demanded job in the market. These are the live one-to-one sessions which we are going to do it. Then you're going to get it the cloud security. Now, once we got this entire skill, it's an important to how you wanna present that. That comes on the interview pattern. So we're gonna give you the complete interview sessions, right? The preparations with the live materials, which is on a real base scenarios. We're gonna give you a discussions. We're gonna have the instructions how you need to prepare yourself for an interview for getting in a high paid job. This is what we're going, but not end with it. We're going beyond this. We also have some special sessions that is on a video based. This is a compliment for you guys, where the value is very high for this course, but you're going to get some free of cost if you're the part of this course. Like, you're going to get a complete ethical hacking labs, but, like, with the lab process guidance, how you can set up the lab, what are the skill set you require. It's a complete ethical hacking package. You will be getting a free of cost. This is a video based sessions with the value of almost, like, where the people have been ready to pay 800, 1000 real for this special only for the ethical hacking. You also getting the complete web pen testing there, like, application security, we can say that. Now this is our some of the process, but not ended with this. We have more thing about it, which is requirement. It's based on the requirement that the compliance and policies. So the compliance and policies, if I talk about it, that is all covering with the SAMA, PCI, DSS, GDPR, HIPAA. Like, this is how where we're going to have some frameworks. We're going to understand about the controls, what is required here. So this is an special, like, concept which we are going to spend it, give you the complete idea about how the compliance and policies can be there. So we'll take any of the use case from this and gonna explain you the complete detail about those requirement and the tools, if I talk about it. So these tools like Splunk, IBM QRadar, Rapid7, Wireshark, Azure Sentinel, Nessus, threat intelligence tools. So these are the tools which we are going to cover with this package here. You're going to get hands-on lab with hands-on training, what is required in this. Whatever, like, things are there in that. And also you'll be getting a complete, like, resources, whatever we have. Now, if you ask me what would be the price for this course, I can tell you that this is a complete, like, master guide for you to get an high paying salaries. An average 20,000 real to 25,000 real per month, you can get it, achieve it. It depends upon the practice rate, what you're gonna do it. But if I'll talk about this course value, so the SOC analyst course, which is cost as, like, 1,000 real. We have the cloud security, which is cost you $800, like, 800 real, sorry. And if I talk about, like, ethical hacking, which is 600 real. If I talk about web pen testing, the value which is 750 real. Then again, as I said you that there is a professional CV preparation, which is cost 150 to 200 real, an average amount. And if I talk about the interview materials, which is 180 real, where the people are just pay this and they'll get only interview material, this is it happens. But no use of it until unless you don't have the complete concrete knowledge. So total value of this is 3,480 real, the entire course. But you're not going to pay this, you know there is something different you have it. Now what is that? I'm going to tell you that this is a limited offer where you're going to get this entire into the 1500 real. This is a 1500 real where you're going to get it. But even I'm not going to charge you this. I'll tell you one a best price where it's also support you at the financial as well as to take a smart decisions. What is a return of this? 100 into 100 return will be there if you're paying. What is that? Now let me tell you that the offer for you which I'm giving you, you know the entire process which I have discussed you, just with 1000 real only, just 1000 real, you're getting this entire concept, complete practical lab, complete process, SOC, cloud, networking. We are into the live sessions. You've been getting a video based for ethical hacking. You'll be getting a video base for the web pen testing. Compliance is the live sessions, interview preparations, like, whatever the guidance, your professional resume preparations with our team, the placement team are there, which are going to be take care of it. This is what where we are going to do it. Now this is at the step by step process because security is a big and current next big market. Think about it, because these are going to give you a good opportunities where you have endless job opportunities where you're going to be getting into it. So this is what where we are going to do it. So entire process, I repeat again, if you can see that this entire course values is 3480 real, which you're going to be get just 1000 real, just 1000 real. And this is gonna be like for this batch. You're going to get this offer only for this batch, and if you're interested, this is a fair enough for to get you understand what we are doing it and how it's going to help us. It's all about our decisions, what we are going to do it. So I want you to take the decisions if you're interested, and let me know that if you have any questions, so we can have it discussions. You can unmute your call. You can ask me if you have any questions related to this.
Hi, this is Mohammed Mehboob Ali. Just I want to ask regarding this the duration and
Mm-hmm.
the batch timing if we join, and what will be the like practical, how will be the practical works, and if I can get more details about like how much might be the practical and how much might be the theoretical or something like that.
Yeah, sure, I can give you that. When it is comes on the practical sessions, right? When we are talking about it, so this is the lab what we are creating, right? The process what we are creating is to get you the entire system. Now, it's all about the knowledge skills which you required before you get into the practical. So theoretical concept, which is of the 30% and 70% will be considered as a practical, and whatever the theoretical concept which we are discussing, that's are complete related to the practical part. Correct.
Okay, understood,
And
understood,
if I
understood.
talk about the class durations, right? How much the how much time it takes. It takes around 60 sessions, 55 to 60 sessions, which we are going to be cover, and daily will be 60 to so 60 to 90 minutes. It depends upon topic which we are going to cover it. So almost nearly 80 to 90 hour sessions will be there.
Okay, okay, understood. And if I ask regarding this tools, like practically, like because I know a couple of like websites which are some institutes are using for that, just
Mhm.
like try hack me or something like that. Is there we are using anything like that, or we
No,
have
no,
a separate tools
no.
or
It will
separate
be.
labs or something like
Yes, yes, exactly. It will be a complete separate lab which I've been going to set up on your environment.
that? Okay, 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 great.
But I mean, like on all this on our premises, like whenever you want, you can do the practice on it and you can take in decisions on this. You can.
Okay, and this and these
Yeah.
labs have the only the duration which the course will complete that much only, or we get some extra time to practice or something like that.
No, no, you will get it that is what I'm saying, like the complete lab setup process, whatever we are doing it, right? So we'll be giving you from the scratch everything, like how we can set up those lab and how we can practice and all the lab resources. So you can set up your own lab as well, once it's done with that as well. So it's not just only with the training, but for the longer time.
Okay, 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 great.
Yeah.
So this,
Hmm.
but after like after completing the all the sessions, so we
Hmm.
can create like we can use these labs still for practicing or how?
Exactly. We can do that. In fact,
Okay, okay,
the practical lab what we are setting, right? It's we're
yeah,
giving you the complete guidance how to set up the lab before we get start practical with all resources with your account. So you have a clear
okay,
idea
okay,
about setting this lab, deploying the different sources, and making all those things possible to do the practical. All right.
okay, okay, great,
Yeah.
great. And one more last question regarding Linux.
Mm-hmm.
So we are like for me personally, I'm not very much used to Linux. So on that, you want to say something like, is it how necessary it is, or
Not
better if I
necessary.
learn something
Not
about that?
not necessary. You need to be have a Linux experience, but still, as we are covering like ethical hacking, that is a video base, right? So all the required knowledge you required in the Linux, that is all covered in that.
In the ethical hacking sessions. Okay,
Yes, yes, it's a video based.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Understood.
Yeah,
Thank
Abdullah,
you, thank you.
you're welcome. Abdullah, the session's time, the durations are nearly 60 to 65 hours. We can take that. Yeah. Yes, do we have also the preparation for the mock interview? Yes, of course, we have the complete guidance. And if you, after preparing, you want us to be go ahead with Mock interview, yes, of course you can go ahead with that. No, it's not include any kind of like certification part. You will get the certificate in the name of Tech Geek, but it's not from like the exam watchers or something like that. It's not the preparation for an exam. This is a completely real scenario based, like how you're going to perform your task daily basis when you be there in the job. All right. So this is how where we are going to do it, guys. Like this is all the process which we are doing it. So you have still like I'll tell you that this is not just enough with that. Uh, Before you get into the like if you're made up the decisions to be a part of this, you can have one more session, right? You can attend one more session and can decide, okay, this is what you're looking for it, and then you can take the decision, because we don't need, we're not here to share you or like the process where we talk about to sell you. It's all about the solution, right? What are the current market is there, what are the requirement are there, what are the problems the people are face. So to come over with that problems, we are going to like have these discussions. So we have one more sessions where you can like get into the with the same link and can ask me the questions and see that. No, it's not video based. The video base you're only getting like the Elias, the video base is only for your ethical hacking and the web pen testing. All the other sessions are live, the live one to one. We'll be there the same as we are doing the webinar, right? The same way you'll get those all live sessions. Yeah. Is there any question, guys?
You were mentioning about another session. So this will be like a webinar only, or any like introduction part of the course or something like that?
Yeah, we may have like one more sessions like that's the continue part, like the next part of this session.
Okay, okay, understood.
Monday to Friday. The sessions are Monday to Friday. All right. All right. So, fine, guys. Thank you very much for listening me. I believe you got some like knowledge with this, and I believe you enjoy this session. And thank you very much for listening me, guys. Have a great day. All the best for your coming future. And I'm very excited to be see you on board, and we'll see more detail about it. So duration of this course, like how many hours and time. So time will be decided by my team and give you the time, and daily session will be 60 minutes to 90 minutes. It depends. It depends upon the topic, but you take it as a 60 minutes as a per day session will be there. All right. So thank you guys. Take care. Bye everybody.